In the vast, cold expanse of a research station orbiting a distant blue-green planet, Joan Park leaned closer to the flickering holographic display. His tired eyes traced the faint lines of data that seemed to dance and shimmer like ghostly memories. The terminal hummed softly, its ancient circuits struggling to piece together fragments of a civilization long thought extinct. The research station was quiet, save for the gentle hum of life support systems and the occasional beep of complex machinery. June had been working for months, perhaps years. Time seemed to blur when chasing historical mysteries. His team of xenohistorians had been tracking unusual energy signatures that didn't match any known galactic civilization's technology. Something about humanity's disappearance had always felt wrong. The historical records were fragmented, incomplete, like a broken mirror reflecting only scattered pieces of a larger truth. According to the standard galactic archives, humans had fought a catastrophic war thousands of years ago, apparently destroying themselves in the process. But June knew there was more to the story. The holographic fragments began to stabilize. Bits of encrypted data started forming patterns, not random noise, but deliberate communication. Star charts, technological schematics, and what appeared to be complex hibernation protocols flickered in and out of focus. June's hand trembled slightly as he adjusted the signal resolution. His colleague, Dr. Aria Lee, walked into the research chamber. She carried 2 steaming cups of synthetic coffee, her movements careful and measured. "Anything new?" she asked, setting one cup beside June's workstation. "Look," June whispered, pointing at the holographic display. The images were becoming clearer, detailed plans for massive ships, not designed for exploration, but for long-term survival, preservation, preparation. The data suggested something extraordinary. Humanity hadn't been destroyed. They had chosen to vanish. Detailed star charts showed multiple hidden locations scattered across different galactic sectors. These weren't random placement points, but carefully calculated positions that would provide maximum protection and minimal detection. Someone, or something, had planned this exodus with incredible precision. "They went into hiding," Aria murmured, her scientific skepticism momentarily replaced by a sense of wonder. But why? The fragments hinted at a threat so significant that an entire species would choose collective hibernation over confrontation. Massive energy signatures suggested advanced technology far beyond what current galactic civilizations understood. Defensive protocols, quantum encryption, and complex survival algorithms filled the recovered data. June zoomed into one particular section of the star chart. A series of coordinates pulsed with a soft blue light, a beacon waiting to be discovered. This wasn't just historical research anymore. This was a potential first contact scenario. As the hours passed, more details emerged. The human preparation hadn't been rushed or panicked. It was methodical, calculated. They had anticipated something, a threat so enormous that complete withdrawal seemed the most rational response. Each recovered fragment suggested not defeat, but strategic retreat. The research station's ambient lighting shifted, mimicking the gentle transition from artificial day to night cycle. But June and Aria remained focused, their eyes locked on the holographic display that seemed to breathe with ancient secrets. "We need to inform the Galactic Research Council," Aria said, her voice a mixture of excitement and caution. June nodded, but something in his gut told him they were standing on the edge of a discovery that would change everything. Humanity, a species everyone believed extinct, might be waiting, watching, preparing. The holographic display continued to pulse, each fragment of data a whisper from a civilization that had chosen silence over extinction. And somewhere, in the dark spaces between known star systems, something was stirring, something that had been waiting for a very long time. The first signs came quietly. A slight distortion in the fabric of space, barely noticeable to most sensor systems. Captain Hyun Kim stood motionless on the bridge of the massive starship, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that shimmered with incoming data. Around her, the ship's systems hummed with a low, steady vibration, Decades of hibernation had prepared the crew for this moment. Generations of humans had slept, preserved in advanced quantum stasis chambers, waiting for the right moment to emerge. The alien star system spread out before them like a complex web of light and darkness. Distant planets hung suspended in the void, unaware of the approaching visitors. Hyun's fingers moved almost imperceptibly across the control interface, running final system checks. "Quantum fold stabilizing," announced her first officer, a quiet man named Dae-sung. His voice was calm, professional, the result of years of intensive training and mental conditioning. Outside the ship's protective shield, space itself seemed to ripple. The massive vessel, nearly 15 kilometers long, began to take solid form. Its design was unlike anything the current galactic civilizations had ever seen. Sleek yet powerful, with lines that suggested both incredible speed and devastating defensive capabilities. Surrounding alien observation platforms suddenly came alive with frantic communication. Sensor arrays that had been dormant for decades now blazed with activity. The emergence of the human ship was like a stone dropped into a still pond, creating ripples that would soon become waves. Hyun knew they would be detected. Detection was inevitable. But the timing, the approach, these were carefully calculated strategies developed over centuries of planning. Humanity wasn't returning as conquerors. They were returning as protectors. Communication channels began lighting up. Panicked transmissions from nearby alien outposts filled the secondary monitoring screens. Fear, confusion, disbelief. These were the typical responses to something completely unexpected. "Incoming transmission," Dae-sung reported. "Multiple frequencies. They're trying to understand who we are." Hyun allowed herself a small smile. Understanding would come, but not through words. Not yet. The ship's external lights pulsed, a carefully designed sequence that was part communication, part warning. "We are here. We are aware. We are prepared." Nearby defense platforms began charging weapons. Typical response. Predictable. The human ship's defensive systems were already mapping every potential attack vector, calculating response times down to microseconds. Historical records had preserved humanity's reputation. They were known as a species of warriors, of survivors, a civilization that had fought against impossible odds, that had developed technology born from desperation and pure survival instinct. This wasn't an invasion. This was a return. Dae-sung looked up from his console. "Captain, surrounding space is becoming unstable." Hyun understood. Their very presence was disrupting existing space-time relationships. The quantum fold drive they had used for travel was unlike anything in current galactic technological understanding. More transmissions, more panic. The alien civilizations were scrambling to comprehend this sudden emergence of a species they had long considered extinct. "Prepare standard communication protocol," Hyun commanded. "Minimal information, maximum impact." A single transmission was prepared. Short, direct. A message that would echo through countless communication networks. "Humanity HAs RETURNET. Prepare." 3 words that would change everything. The ship continued its slow, deliberate approach. No aggressive movements, no sudden attacks. Just a steady, powerful presence that seemed to challenge everything the current galactic civilization understood about power, survival, and unexpected resurrection. Captain Hyun Kim watched the star system spread before her. Decades of preparation, generations of waiting. And now, the moment of return had finally arrived. Humanity was back, and nothing would ever be the same again. The void entities moved like living shadows across the galaxy, consuming entire star systems with terrifying efficiency. Where once planets teemed with life, now only empty space remained, cold, dark, and utterly silent. Commander Kang Seok watched the holographic displays, his eyes tracking the massive dark formation spreading like a cancer through multiple star sectors. These entities defied conventional understanding of biological or mechanical life. They consumed everything: matter, energy, even the fundamental quantum structures of space itself. Alien civilizations had tried to fight back. Their most advanced weapons seemed like children's toys against these cosmic predators. Entire fleets would approach and simply disappear, absorbed into the dark mass without a trace of resistance. The human ship's advanced sensors mapped the void entity's movement patterns. Each scan revealed something more terrifying than the last. These weren't just random consuming forces. They demonstrated a level of strategic intelligence that suggested something beyond simple hunger. "Tactical analysis complete," reported Lieutenant Yoon, her fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. Consumption rate increasing by 12% every solar cycle. Kang understood the implications. At this rate, the entire known galaxy would be completely consumed within decades. No civilization had found an effective defense. No strategy had even slowed their progression. But humanity had been preparing for something like this for generations. The human fleet began to assemble, ships that looked more like living weapons than traditional space vessels. Each design incorporated technologies developed during centuries of strategic hibernation. Quantum entanglement weapons, space-time manipulation systems, energy disruption protocols that could theoretically tear apart molecular structures. First contact would be crucial. The void entities moved like a collective consciousness, absorbing information as quickly as they absorbed matter. Traditional attack strategies would be useless. Kang studied the tactical displays. The void entities had already consumed 17 major star systems and were rapidly approaching the central galactic core. Trillions of lives had already been lost. Entire civilizations erased from existence in moments. "Prepare quantum resonance protocol," Kang commanded. The bridge crew moved with precision, each action calculated and deliberate. Years of training had prepared them for this moment. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival. They were fighting to save every remaining civilization in the galaxy. The first test firing would determine everything. A weapon designed not just to destroy, but to fundamentally disrupt the void entity's ability to consume and expand. Lieutenant Yoon's voice was steady. Quantum resonance cannon charge, target locked. The massive weapon, integrated directly into the ship's primary system, began to glow with an unnatural blue-white light. Space itself seemed to bend and twist around its massive energy signature. "Fire," Kang said simply. A beam of pure, concentrated energy erupted from the human ship. It wasn't a traditional weapon, more like a surgical instrument designed to cut through the very fabric of the void entity's existence. The holographic displays erupted with complex data. For the first time, the void entities showed something resembling a reaction. Not pain, not fear, but a fundamental disruption of their consuming process. A small section of the massive dark formation began to fracture. Humanity had found their first weakness. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. The species they had long considered extinct was now their only hope of survival. The void entities might be powerful, but they had never encountered a civilization as adaptable, as prepared, as human. Commander Kang allowed himself the smallest of smiles. The real battle was just beginning. The battle erupted across multiple star systems, a dance of destruction that defied traditional understanding of warfare. Human ships moved like living weapons, each vessel a precise instrument of strategic annihilation. Tactical Commander Suk Park watched as the quantum weapons tore through the void entity's massive dark formations. These weren't random attacks. Every movement was a calculated strike, decades of preparation compressed into moments of devastating action. The alien civilizations watched in stunned silence. Humanity's technology seemed to bend the very laws of physics. Where traditional weapons would fail, human strategic algorithms predicted and neutralized threats before they could fully form. Energy beams carved impossible paths through space. Ships that should have been destroyed simply shifted quantum states, avoiding destruction with movements that seemed to laugh at conventional physics. The void entities found themselves fighting an enemy they couldn't predict, couldn't understand. One by one, the massive dark formations began to break apart. Each strike was more than a weapon. It was a message. Humanity had not returned to negotiate. They had returned to save the galaxy, whether other civilizations wanted their help or not. The human fleet moved with a precision that suggested a collective consciousness. No wasted movements. No unnecessary risks. Every action was part of a larger, more complex strategy that unfolded across millions of kilometers of space. Commander Park's voice remained calm. Target the quantum resonance points. Disrupt their collective structure. Surrounding alien fleet commanders could only watch. Their most advanced weapons had been useless against the void entities. Humanity was doing in moments what entire civilizations had failed to do in generations. The void entities began to show something new, a form of adaptive response. They tried to learn, to understand the human attack patterns. But humanity was always 3 steps ahead, changing tactics faster than the entities could comprehend. Massive energy waves erupted from human ships. These weren't just weapons, they were surgical instruments designed to tear apart the fundamental structure of the cosmic predators. Each strike was a precise cut, methodically dismantling the void entity's ability to consume and expand. Lieutenant Yoon tracked the battle progress. Consumption rate dropping. Primary dark formations losing structural integrity. The galaxy held its collective breath. What had seemed like an unstoppable force was now being systematically destroyed by a species everyone thought had been extinct for generations. Entire star systems that had been marked for consumption suddenly found themselves free. The void entity's massive dark formations began to fracture, then collapse, then simply disappear. It wasn't just a battle. It was redemption. Humanity had vanished centuries ago, leaving behind only whispers and legends. Now they returned not as conquerors, but as protectors. Their technology, their strategy, their very existence was a message to the galaxy. We were always here. We were always watching. We were always preparing. The final stages of the battle were almost surgical. Commander Park watched as the last massive dark formation began to disintegrate, not with a massive explosion, but with a quiet, methodical destruction that suggested complete understanding of the enemy. Primary threat neutralized, Lieutenant Yoon reported. The silence that followed was deafening. Entire alien civilizations tried to process what they had just witnessed. A species they had forgotten had just saved them from total extinction. Commander Sook Park allowed himself a small, almost imperceptible smile. The battle was over. But humanity's true purpose was just beginning. The galaxy would never be the same again. The Galactic Conference Hall buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from hundreds of alien civilizations sat in carefully arranged seating, their eyes fixed on the human delegation led by diplomat Yunji. She was small, perhaps too young to be leading such a critical negotiation, but her eyes told a different story. They held the collective wisdom of generations, the careful strategy of a species that had survived near extinction. "We are not here to rule," Yunji began, her voice clear and calm. "We are here to protect." The void entity's destruction had changed everything. Where once alien civilizations had been separate, competing systems, now they looked to humanity as their unexpected saviors. The humans had done what no other civilization could. They had stopped the cosmic predators that had been consuming entire star systems. Commander Kang Seok stood beside her, a living representation of humanity's military might. His presence alone was enough to make even the most confident alien representatives pause. This was a species that had survived by being perpetually prepared, perpetually strategic. Diplomatic negotiations were complex. Each alien civilization wanted something different. Some sought protection. Others feared potential human domination. But the humans made their position clear. They were guardians, not conquerors. Advanced technology began to be shared. Quantum communication systems, space-time manipulation techniques, defensive protocols that could protect entire star systems. Humanity wasn't just offering protection. They were offering survival. The galactic map began to change. Human protective stations were established at critical points, not as military bases, but as early warning systems, watching, preparing, preventing future threats before they could emerge. Alien scientists study human technology with a mixture of fear and fascination. These were not just weapons or defensive systems. They were complete technological ecosystems designed with a level of strategic thinking that seemed almost impossible. "We've been preparing for this moment for generations," Yoon-ji explained to a group of skeptical planetary representatives. "Our hibernation wasn't just survival. It was preparation." The humans had essentially created a comprehensive survival strategy that spanned centuries. Every technological advancement, every strategic decision had been made with one goal: protecting not just themselves, but potential future civilizations. Slowly, reluctantly, the alien civilizations began to understand. Humanity wasn't seeking conquest. They were offering a form of cosmic protection that no one had previously imagined possible. Trade agreements were drafted. Defensive pacts were signed. For the first time in galactic history, multiple civilizations began to work together with a single, unified purpose. Commander Kang watched the proceedings with a calm, calculated eye. Their mission was evolving, from survival to protection, from isolation to integration. The void entities had been defeated, but humanity understood that new threats would always emerge. Their role was not just to fight, but to prepare, to be the cosmic immune system of an entire galactic community. Diplomatic stations were established. Cultural exchange programs began. Humans shared not just technology, but a philosophy of survival that emphasized adaptability, strategic thinking, and collective protection. Yoon-ji's final statement to the Galactic Council was simple but powerful. "We are here. We are prepared. And we will never let anyone threaten our collective future again." The galaxy had changed, and at the center of this new cosmic balance was humanity, a species that had disappeared for millennia, only to return as the unexpected guardians of an entire galactic civilization. The void was no longer empty. It was now a place of hope, of protection, of unexpected redemption. Humanity had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again.